I'm going to talk today on my 46th birthday about the hallmarks of an evil woman, and then I'll contemplate here and there how to survive it. It's going to be a short video, but there's going to be more videos like this, as well as other videos of value that you're going to want to check out. I'll also be providing advice for women, especially Gen Z women, that want to stay safe, that want to be moral, that want decent people in their lives, that want to have the right advice where they're not getting it from social media or their parents. So we'll talk about that. What is a positive person? What is morality? But being immoral, right? You might have an idea of how evil people can be. And for the purpose of this discussion, heterosexual relationships between men and women are increasingly evil. And if you don't identify how evil they can be, it can cause you a lot of problems, especially if you're living with one. Okay, so I'm living with one, and she supposedly cared about my message and the things that I talked about, the futuristic theories, my observations of the government, and a lot of these things were actually counterfeit. Okay, the issue is in the modern day and age, when we're dealing with unconscious people, we can be duped into bad relationships or live in situations that in some cases will be harmful to us, even if we don't see it at the time. It could be something perhaps later on down the line in 5 years or 10 years, but there is the influence that a lot of people don't understand of solar maximum or the solar flares or the geomagnetic storms, that which causes the aurora borealis, and it does influence warfare, it does influence fighting. So obviously there are physical changes, basic physiological changes that take place, even if people aren't aware of it. So periods like this, where we're having above average solar activity back to back to back, I'll see simultaneous violence in the news. I might get death threats if I'm on the wrong app, which I did the other day when I'm on Upscrolled. And then the person that I live with, in this case, will show, this is what this video is really all about, will show cruelty and malice to me when my feelings are hurt from another human being. You know, so there's an expression, when it rains, it pours. With this particular individual who's highly unconscious, she'll be mean to me when I'm going through these fears and feelings. Instead of address it when I'm talking to her calmly, she'll say things to provoke me while I'm in pain to make it worse. You're always in a bad mood. You're always this. You're always that. She'll launch into a tirade of what I call negative affirmation statements. You should know what that is if you don't already. But it basically is a way to break down a person by basically hitting them with a barrage of insults, basically to put them down when they're already down, where they normally don't do that. It's basically kicking somebody when they're down. And you don't necessarily know that this is someone's behavior until you actually live with them and they have all the control. So there is something vampiric about this, about what I'm noticing from the women that I've known, but the woman that I'm living with right now, there is an energy vampirism aspect to it. And I could be calm the next day, and I could be sticking to myself, in the corner of basically like my own de facto man cave, and she'll come and she'll invade the man cave. She'll invade my space after insulting me the day before, and she'll say things to continue the argument, right? And she'll do it during certain periods. So right now we're having a geomagnetic storm while we're having my birthday, right? So I'm already sad on my birthday. I'm already feeling hated by the world on my birthday. I'm already feeling forgotten, and I look at the news on a regular basis as confirmation of what I've been predicting for 20 years. So there's lots of things happening in the news. This isn't really a podcast about that, but it varies. It's basically topics relating to war, countries being invaded, people being genocided, the rise in fascism, the rise in surveillance, and now people like myself and others have been warning about things like concentration camps and things like that for years. And instead of her showing some legitimate concern for what's going on, she'd rather see me as a crazy conspiracy theorist who's mentally ill, who has a personality shift or something. When she's the one, when I look at her closely, she looks demonic now. She looks like she's evil incarnate. Like the way that she'll come in and verbally attack me when I run away from her and I go to the cat, right? So people need to know the true nature of women in the modern day and age, and they seem to be under some sort of demonic mind control. and they have the legal right to get away with things that they shouldn't have the right to get away from or get away with. And you have no rights as a male, as a man, in their house. And what's really sad is I'm not someone that promotes the abuse of women. I'm not someone that promotes maledom. I'm not someone that promotes human trafficking. I'm somebody that's against all those things. And I'm living with a woman who doesn't care about other women, which is actually a microcosm of the macrocosm. Same thing with my mother. Same thing with other women that I dated. They look down upon it. They don't like other women. They're misogynists themselves. They look down upon a good man who has feelings for others, and she's so selfish, she's so demon-possessed. She'll act like I'm addicted to the internet or something, like it's some sort of like malfunction in the head or something. Like I was always this way. I was always making videos, being concerned about the future, reporting on the news, being my own version of a truther without following Alex Jones and David Icke, but basically having my own tapestry, having my own material, having my own message, and basically having a dream for my own book. Not just one book, but a series of books. And instead of those things being seen as positive attributes, something to hold up, right? Now she's on the attack. And had I not lived with her, had I not moved in with her, I would have never had 2 negative experiences with the mental health hospital. It was all because, right, of arguments with her that in one case drove me to a state of drinking. And then because she has a zero tolerance policy for drinking, she attacked me verbally. And then I got upset. And then when she said, well, if you don't like it here, you should just leave. You know, so I'm not suicidal, but I'm like, well, if you do that, I'm going to have to kill myself or something because I have nowhere to go. I invested a lot and sold a lot to move in with her. So it's not like I can just leave. So when that happened, she called the police and they took me away for 9 days. And that was the first of 2 exchanges where that never would have happened on my own. That never would have happened on my own had I never moved in with her, right? So she has the shaitan, she has the evil within her. She is basically activated by some sort of an energy during this period, so are others. And that's nightmarish when you can't get away from it, right? The second time was a year ago. And she drove me out again through the arguing and insults. And then I stayed out all night just because I didn't want to come home and she took my keys. So I ended up getting loud with somebody. There was a house that was promoting pornography bumper stickers on their car. And I see the role that pornography has played in human trafficking and other social ills. So you could say that I was pissed off that morning and I drove by that house and gave them a piece of my mind. And they came down hard on me. And they took me away again for 12 days. Okay, that never would have happened had I not been forced out of the place in which I was living. Things like that never happened before. And so that's the hallmark of an evil person. They're never sorry. They're never apologetic. Same thing with my mother. She's never sorry. She's never apologetic. Now, I take it super personally because I'm one man out of a sea of males on the planet, billions of them, that don't care about human trafficking. They don't have certain abilities. They don't care about the future of women. A lot of men are very distorted right now, especially in our culture, especially if they're not aware of white supremacy or if they are easily programmed by tribalism. They easily can find me and treat me like shit also, just like the women. So when somebody like me cares about other people and is doing work to shine the light on real things, it's not an addiction, it's not a character defect, it's a character asset. So ultimately, somebody has to learn how to survive living with an energy vampire when they know that they're going to be attacking them. Okay? When they know that they're going to be attacking them during certain periods. So birthdays, periods in which the sun is active, certain types of holidays, or any time that the individual shows pain. You know, so I'm noticing this is cyclical. If I'm in pain, if I'm feeling insulted because someone threatened my life and says he wants to see me and my entire kind genocided, instead of her having compassion for what I'm going through. She'll gaslight me. And then she'll make it worse by acting like the racism that I've experienced in my life is all in my head. Ultimately, women are responsible for the deaths of many people around the world. They are responsible for the deaths of many men. They are responsible in some cases for the people that the men kill when they forcefully kick out a man from the house, from his man cave, because they have the legal right to do so, right? Kicking the man out of the house, and then the man might go and drink if he is irresponsible. And in some cases, he might crash into things and he might kill people, okay? And so nobody should be drinking and driving. That is against the law. And more than a few times, she made me leave the house after I had some beers. Not because I did something wrong while drinking, but just because I had the beers. Right now, I'm not drinking. I want to make that clear. I'm not drinking right now. And I actually view it as something that is not healthy, that lowers the spiritual frequency. But that doesn't mean that it was right for her to do what she did to me and to set me up for a fall, right? And I was told by a psychic to get away from this woman and go to Europe, that America is going to get bad. And America is getting bad. The evil that exists within women can also be seen when you try to talk to other women about what's going on, and they show complete cruelty. Like, they've never heard of a situation like that where there was a man being abused by a woman who was basically like trapped in a situation that he can't get out of. So like, we're like in such a evil world right now where because of the past or because of what happened to them or because of whatever bias they have against men or against their father or against their son or against their ex or against their husband, they'll then take those resentments, those gender-based resentments, and then transfer them over to a person who is not deserving of that abuse, who is not deserving of that ridicule. So this is basically just a primer. It's pretty windy right now, but this is a primer for other self-help videos that I'm going to create. I do have the intelligence within me to come up with the solutions for myself and for others, but I'm not necessarily disciplined enough to follow through with my own advice to a T. So I can provide advice, but I lack personal discipline. I am hoping to make friends with this YouTube channel. I'd like to make friends with people that aren't racist. I'd like to make friends with people that are interested in the emerging sciences, in particular the human behavioral response, or how human beings respond to solar flares, and how absorbing this information and these teachings can help us in some cases avoid people that are problematic, right? So on today's day of my birthday, while I'm in pain, I know that there is more abuse waiting for me. I know that she is going to say things that are going to provoke me into being hurt or arguing with her. And then she's going to continue to do those things to make herself be the good person and me be the bad person, right? And she won't acknowledge or be aware that she's turning up the cruelty on my birthday, right? And so women will absorb for years the weaknesses of a man, the traumas of a man, the horrible things that have happened to a man, including physical assaults and actual bodily damage. And later on, they will use that information against them. So in the case of bodily damage, they'll, if they're going to get another guy, they'll tell that guy where his injuries are. So that guy will be beat up more easily by that other male. That's one example. But emotionally, they know how to hit. They know how to hit and when to hit. They know the days to hit and the things to say it, right? And they have no conscience inside their own mind to see that what they are doing is wrong. You know what I mean? That what they're doing is wrong. That they're messing with the person who's being who they always were, and they're oppressing that person because they don't like that person anymore. Okay? That's the reality of what we're dealing with modern evil women that have too much control and too much power.